Good morning, Jeff. How you doing, man? Man, I passed out watching it. Yeah, so I gotta watch it today. The kids are out of school for Good Friday, so I'll watch it with them tonight. It's the plan. Is it? Okay, good. I was hoping so. I see we got somebody on the live stream. Oh, go ahead. With the Godzilla character? Yeah. Just getting us set up real quick before we get started on the live stream. Letting some people come in here. Good morning, how are you doing? Yeah. Uh, yeah, it did. Just had to turn the heater on in my own house. Good morning, Rach. How you doing, man? I see you on the live stream. Just be prepared for what comes after. Alright. I think I got it pushed out everywhere. Let me see. Make sure I got it in the Discord. I lost all $4 on my IW input. I see you, Jen. Yeah, I'll get to that in just a minute here. Alright. Alright. See, we got Krista in here, John's in here. Good morning. Justin. Steve's in here. DPW looking good.
Naked sweats. That's great.
Is that the flu or the corona?
That sounds like COVID to me.
Yeah. Which means.
I'm in charge of all of my guys for COVID, so.
Yeah.
Means I just got a lot more paperwork today.
Yeah. Alright, everybody knows the markets are on steroids this morning due to the infrastructure plan that was laid out yesterday. A lot of money going into EVs. We've been focused pretty heavily on EVs ourselves due to the administration being in office and their previous announcements on their plans for EV. SPY currently sitting at 397.93. Looking to retest those all-time highs. QQQ sitting at 322.61, and the IWM is currently at 221.70, but it was at 222, I believe, at its height. And then the DXY itself has come back down about 13 cents. I saw that I think the VIX was down to 18.5, and I haven't looked at TNX this morning, but I'm looking now. It's still sitting around, it was at 174, but it has since dropped to 170 itself. So that did ultimately allow for the markets to gap up pretty well, not having that pressure to rely on. One thing that is sticking out to me is the fact that we're sitting at a plus 11 on our overall score, which I've seen it once or twice before, and typically that means that we're maxing out where we're at. Of course, that makes sense. Large pushes in the NASDAQ make sense as well. International markets doing well because the U.S. markets are, and those are all green across the board. NASDAQ being up 1%, Russell being up about 0.34, and the SPY being up about 0.39. Now, I know a lot of us are still holding puts. I will be losing about $700 at open myself. Okay, so with that being said, one thing that stands out to me is the fact that we're topping out at where we topped out yesterday for the most part, with the exception of the QQQ and the IWM bouncing up just a little bit higher than that resistance level that it had yesterday. Um, I would have expected us to break those levels, and that would have been my bullish signal. Now, if it does it today, then yes, that's a bullish market for me. And at any point, I can close out the puts I have and reverse them into calls if I see that fit. But for the most part, the SPY is sitting at 397.88, right near its all-time high. And you guys already know my theory on that. Anytime we hit all-time highs in one day, I'm most likely doing puts on it the next day. Of course, the next day being next Monday. So I just don't see too much higher that the SPY can go. Yeah, it can go to 400. That is possible. I'm not saying it's not, but for the most part, these have been coming down since peaking out pre-market. So I'm tracking it. I've been tracking it since 6:30, I think, was when I last tracked it, and it should be about 7:33 now. So I tracked it at 6:43, and since then the U.S. equities has came down just a little bit, not much. S&P and the Nasdaq picked up. I need to add the Russell in there, so since we are trading it, so we can have a clear identification on those. And then I need to add the DXY and the TNX as well. So what that's going to do is cause some real estate issues, as I like to call it, as far as what I have available in space on the screen. As far as our overall chart, that won't be an issue. We have a lot of space up there, but it's this lower piece that I'm worried about. So we'll look into that over the weekend. I'll look into doing that over the weekend. DXY is actually bouncing off some support levels. Anything below 93 cents, $93 and 027, then you can expect the DXY to continue pulling back. But for the most part, that's been a support level. And as of right now, it looks like it's seeing some harmonics on the 1 minute, meaning that we're probably settling at these levels for now. I'm going to look at the larger time frames and see where we're at real quick. Once again, went into oversold status this morning overbought status on the Q, the SPY, and the IWM. I'm going to see if we gap down and fill that gap back to the 396.50s and the 319s on the Q, excuse me, and then right back around the 220s on the IWM going into today. And of course, for all of you that have been here and some of you that are new, I think Jen's talking to us in chat. Looks like Biden's speech didn't tank the markets after all. Yeah, I expected, with sentiment based on politics, I expected Biden's speech to actually cause some issues for the market. Now, I also said that Biden's speech and the $2 trillion that we're now printing for that, or dedicating to that, most likely printing, although it's supposed to be coming out of taxes in the long run, was going to cause issues for the DXY, which would allow for the stocks, the indexes to pick up. And it has pulled it down about 17 cents up until this moment. Or the vice versa, the corporate tax increases would bring down the markets, and the DXY would, still having a pullback itself. But so the only thing that happened out of that assumption was the DXY pulled down. The markets picked up. We are building new resistance levels. His green energy printing sounded like good news for international sentiment. Yeah, I agree. The whole offshoring tax and incentives for coming back to America with a lot of things, I don't know how far that's really going to go, because the top 90 wealthiest companies could really ride out those 4 years just wait for someone else to be in office and not even have to move their factories. So probably pay the toll fee, get through the time period, and then be back to business as normal with offshoring their manufacturing and then selling back in America as it's currently set up. If it does have the effect that he wants it to, then that's great for us all. More jobs, made in America, that whole philosophy. But I don't know. I don't see it really having the effect that he would hope in the long run. And of course, this infrastructure package is not going to be something that's instantaneously going to happen tomorrow. And I think will take much longer to develop. And then another thing that I thought about yesterday too is, he's saying that we should be seeing about $1 trillion over the next 15 years. Well, I started doing a little bit of math, and basically $1 trillion, 1 0 0 0 0 0 0 0, that's a billion, 0 divided by 15. I can't even look at the numbers right here. It's like $666 billion a year additional to fund this money back. So I guess that's their offset, so the kids aren't paying for it. But ultimately, the kids are going to be paying for everything that's happened in the past few years, past year or two, for some time. I mean, we're taking away from GDP growth in order to stimulate the markets now and keep the market stable. That's what's going on. So in the long run, we're still going to be paying for it some way or somehow. And then even if we do a corporate tax increase, then you're really going to see inflation, which it's up to the Fed to make sure that we stick to that 2% inflation rate, and using their tools, which they say they have plenty readily available to do so, to keep the inflation down. But if it actually has the effect that it expects it to, and it falls on the higher corporations, the higher income individuals above 400,000, so on and so forth, we're still going to pay for it somehow, some way, whether it be increased prices and inflation. But there's going to be some way we're going to pay for it in the long run. So back to my point, I think the markets, if they were going to do anything special, they're basically just repeating what happened yesterday, with the exception of the QQQ. QQQ being up so high only because it's in the tech. It's the top 100 tech companies, a lot of EVs listed under there, so on and so forth, so that makes sense for that. The IWM really didn't max out any further than where we were at yesterday, so and it's currently sitting at 221.56. Q is looking like it's pulling down on the 5. I want to see these break EMAs to confirm that we're going to consolidate back to the downside and fill those gaps from pre-market and after hours. If it doesn't, then we can ride the EMAs until they die out, and do some calls and ride that way. And then if it starts to peak out, then we flip again to some puts. But I know the puts that I have I can hold till April 9th, but I have to consider the fact that I'll have a 3-day theta burn with this week being shortened, with Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday. You have to include that, and not to also today too. So I think my theta burn's like $200 a day or something like that at this point, because of the contracts I'm holding, the amount of contracts I'm holding. I think I have 7 contracts, 3 on the Q, which is really going to burn me, 2 on the SPY, and 2 on the IWM. So not really worried about it. We're getting started fresh anyways. There's some things I want to talk about in regards to the small account challenge that I think we kind of stepped outside of that realm, and I want to bring us back to reality and have our feet flat on the ground. Okay, so when we started this small account challenge, we were supposed to only dedicate $250 to $300. It was $200 actually, originally, to this challenge. And I wanted to do that to show you how you can take a small amount of your account and compound it and add up your buying power in order to use money towards things that you want to do on your own individual choices and discretion. So I want to make sure that we stay in that realm with the April challenge. If you spend anything outside of what has been dedicated to the challenge, that is up to your own discretion, and I don't want that to have any discrimination on the challenge itself. Okay, so that's up to your own choice. You're risking your own money beyond anything that we're doing as a group. And in order to do that, I built this small account challenge tracker on the platform, which you can access via your phone. So today we'll start anew. It only pulls from the current month we're in. The algorithm in that platform is only going to show you anything from April. So anything from March is not going to show up anymore. It shouldn't. I'm going to test that today with it being April 1st. And so we'll all start. I think we can start with 300. I'm comfortable with that. Starting with 300, that'll give us a little bit more buying power than 200 did. If you had 200, you're losing about $10 to $20 potentially on the out of the money calls that we would have to, or puts that we would have to utilize in order to compound these accounts up to about $500 to $600, where we could start buying in the money. And so that's the whole thesis, is using a small amount, getting to a point where you can start buying in the money, and you make that $50 per dollar jump up or down, and then you're able to compound the account a lot quicker. If you have a $2 drop, then you're looking at 20% increases on a daily, and that 10% increases to 20 and 30, and it compounds. So we're not going to have green days every day. I don't want that to be a misconception. And what I'm going to do is only discuss in our calls what I have dedicated to the small account challenge myself, because if I'm over here saying that I'm making $500 to $600 today, $700 tomorrow, I think people are gonna use that, and I understand how that can be intriguing. I've talked to some of you guys about it individually and as a group too, to do more outside of the small account challenge, and I'm willing to take being down today in order to be up tomorrow, which I was only down 184 yesterday. I'm probably going to be down 700 in total today. And I'm okay with that, because I built this account off of this same type of challenge on a personal level, so it doesn't affect me as it would someone else. So I don't want that to get tied up. And I'm not shooting at anybody. I don't want anyone to think that, this is a target on anyone's back. I just want to lay out the ground rules for us all to play on an equal level playing field. And I think another thing to add to that is we're not going to see a lot of the issues that we saw with things like day trade issues, where people were being restricted to day trades. I think a lot of our members have moved over to TOS cash accounts, so that you can only play with the limit of money that you have in your account, and then you have access to it to the next day, and you don't have to worry about buying and selling in the same day as you would with maybe your Robinhoods or your Webull accounts, and however those are set up. But anyways, so starting today, before I make any calls, I'm going to be a little bit more patient. Like I said, we're still sitting at I'm pretty sure we're still at an overall score of 11, which we are. Since I have tracked the markets this morning, the SPY has only picked up another 0.04%, and the NASDAQ only another 0.18%. And since we got on, the SPYs actually came down 0.01%, and the NASDAQ has only picked up 0.02%. What I'm trying to allude to is that as time goes through, like 6 o'clock is when I can start trading here in Central Time Zone. I would expect things to start picking up even stronger if we were going to go any higher. Now, the NASDAQ did break a trend that we've been stuck in all the way back to the beginning of February, but I would like to point out one thing about that, is that it also broke to the downside in that trend before. So it can be a misconception that we're actually in a very bullish market or not. And whether or not we are, I haven't made that claim or disclosed that and what I think about it. But for the most part, let's go ahead and look at it, see where we've been at. Let's look at it on the daily. No, maybe the 1 hour justify what I'm trying to do. Yeah, there it is. That'll work. So anyways, this is what I'm seeing. Oh, there it goes. My drawings kicked in for me, so I don't have to do it. Let me get rid of this. And as you can see, we dipped up out of it. And then we dipped down below it too. about near the same price ranges. So I'm not really, uh, me personally, I'm not very bullish on it because if you're looking at the 1 hour, it's currently oversold in pre-market. It's overbought, excuse me. Keep getting that mixed up. So used to saying oversold and doing our RSI bounces that we keep getting that mixed up or whatever. But we're currently oversold in the 1 hour and it's currently tipping over. We're losing, uh, looks like kind of losing steam in that degree. Based on that is what I'm trying to say. And that alludes to the lower time frames where we're seeing a slight momentum loss on the MACD and the volume weighted MACD, and RSI is still sitting above that level. So what I'm worried about is other people more than even the small account challenge and even the $700 that I'm down myself this morning, because I believe people are going to have this inclination that the stocks they're about to jump into are going to continue running, when honestly we've released the news, so you should be potentially selling the news in this moment versus buying into it. Now I understand a lot of liquidity is about to hit the markets on the EV space, and I'm all for the EVs. You guys know that, but I just don't want people to get caught up in some type of bull trap where they're buying into prices of where EVs are sitting at right now, and then the QQQ consolidates on them and pulls all that down. We can look at the coffee and stocks list real quick and just see what's moving and what's not. So BLNK FCell jumped yesterday, of course. Socket Mobile jumped. DPW's up 7% since yesterday. And this is yesterday. These percentages. For some reason, TradingView doesn't account for current market change. OEG jumped 7. SDGR 6. NLSP. You know, all the names that we've been watching. Plug up 5% yesterday. Tesla up 5, sitting at 670. It's currently at 688, but it needs to break above 695 before I feel bullish on it anyways. PAL picked up. Bingo's up. BNGO. I say bingo. Sorry. AI's up. Neo. You know, the entire list. But more so, what I want to look at directly is the EV plays that we actually made a watch list for. That way we can kind of see where those are at. And at the end of the day, based on what I'm talking about right now, is at the end of the day, I want to see where they're sitting. Are they going to be up? Are they going to be down? So I have a list already ready for that. As you can see, not every one of them have actually taken off. NKLA was down yesterday. CCIV was down. Of course, it looks like they're picking up a little bit overnight. CCIV up almost $1. NKLA is up about 50 cents, 40 cents or so. GM's down, GTEC's down. And then, of course, Ride's up, which is Lordstown Motors, Excel, Neat, Workhorse, FSR, Fisker. I think that's Fisker. Is that right? Yeah, Fisker. Neo, and Tesla, of course, and BLNK leading the pack, up 11%, and it's even up $3 more today. So I love BLNK. It's a charging station company. If you're interested in the EV space, I would focus on the charging stations versus the actual vehicle manufacturers, for the simple fact that it's easier to build charging stations versus meeting the demand on building cars. And it's going to take a while for us to transition to a point where all these EV cars are even affordable by the normal consumer to whatever degree. So right now you can focus on the EV charging stations and using our option equity attack on that, or just buying into it now and holding long term, and then down the road start building up your EV manufacturer long term holds, equity attacks and stuff like that. Because you're gonna have issues like with I forgot who it was. I think it was Lord Ride had some issues. There was some other EV manufacturer that ran into some issues, I think yesterday or the day before. Can't remember what it was. Or it might be a whole nother company that I'm thinking about. Anyways, I need more coffee. But looking at the EV charging station solutions, that being, let's see, you have ABB, BL&K, BP, CLII, um, DMLRY, ETN, HYMTF, PCG, um, RDS .A, which I think some of these are not necessarily, they're OTC stocks. They're not listed on anything. SBGC, SY. If you want any of these, I can post them all in the Discord channel. I can make channels for these specific plays, so that we can hold conversations about them. ChargePoint BL&K competitor. Also consider how much infrastructure money goes towards expanding charging stations. Yes, and so I'm not live in Discord, by the way. Thank you for letting me know that. I'm not sharing my screen over here with you guys. Just been talking. But since the very beginning, Jen, to your point, I've actually been big on charging stations since Biden first announced that they were going to replace the 645,000 American federal vehicle fleet with EVs. I said, hey, charging stations, because somebody's going to have to charge a car every so often. You know what I mean? So I've been big on charging stations. What is ChargePoint's ticker is my question. I thought it was SBE or something like that, and apparently it was the wrong. CHPT. Gotcha. So I'm gonna add it to the list. I thought it was something else for some reason. I know there's like a SBE, something else I was watching. Let's see. It's not soft blue. I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. I was doing research on charging station companies and stuff like that, which it itself is up another $4 pre-market. So I know people, if you weren't already invested in them before yesterday, then I think you might be chasing right here. If you weren't previously invested before this week, you may have been chasing yesterday. I mean, they're up, but what I think is people are going to hold these, and I don't blame them holding it long term. Me personally, I only have the bias I have due to the fact that I am acquiring free shares in these stocks, using options, so that I'm not risking any of my initial funds on them, but I am still building a long-term account on them, if that makes any sense. So that's my attack on it, because I don't want to jump into these right now, and then the market takes faceplant, and then I'm stuck holding at these higher price points that they haven't been sitting at on their own, due to Tesla pulling back everything, for the most part. And then after listening to the RMO call the other day, there's apparently some type of shortage with what it takes to build lithium batteries for these EVs too, which is actually a part of what hindered RMO from meeting the expectations, which I don't even know how the expectations were set. I'm pretty sure they handed over their financial guidance after doing the merger with RMG, so on and so forth. But apparently there's some type of shortage that hasn't been met, and I think LG and Samsung are supposed to be bigger players in helping fill that order. There was another company I was watching on Jim Cramer yesterday, which I don't really watch Jim Cramer. I just pulled it up while I was sitting here talking with the guys. But there was a SPAC. I can't remember. Do you guys know what the symbol was that I was talking about? Justin, or the company name? I can't remember. I've slept since then. Actually slept very well since then, so I'm still waking up myself. See, we have a few people. Then you need to get DPW. DPW does charges. Yeah, of course. I mean, I think I have it. Do I not have it on our list? Let me put it on the list. DPW. I'll go ahead and keep track of it, which it's only up 5 cents after yesterday. I would have expected it to pick up a little bit with Bitcoin running too. Um, I see we have a few people on the YouTube live stream. Thank you for joining us. We're currently going over yesterday's news and the infrastructure plan, and then also um, our April small account challenge. If you're interested in joining us, I will post what I have in the chat. This is basically what I shared this morning, so you're gonna see the same thing. If you're interested in joining us, blah 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 blah. There you go. But for the time being, it's 7:57. I'm gonna have to take my daughter to school real quick, so we will probably reconvene about 8:15. Another new announcement is I will probably only be doing our coffee and stock sessions from 7:15 to about 8 o'clock moving forward. So about a 30 to 45 minute session, and then I'll probably reconvene if I can moving forward with what I have going on personally. Um, or we might just move over to the Discord call after that and continue our conversations throughout the day the way we have been. If you're in the YouTube channel, though, the ship that was stuck in the canal held up a lot of shipments, which caused a temporary chip shortage. Thank you for letting me know that, Leo. That was actually, I think we were losing like, was it like $400 million per hour or something like that, or per day that it was stuck there? Chip shortage has been an issue before the ship. Yeah, I mean, we've been in a chip shortage for 3, 4 years now. I'm just reading off what they're talking about in the Discord, by the way. Dealers are starting to get emptier, and yeah, exactly. So, I'm not sure if you guys are willing to wait for a few minutes. If you are, I appreciate it. But I'm gonna leave the live stream up for now, and then I'll hop back on when I get back here in about 10 minutes or so, and we can keep going. All right, we're back. Let's see. All right. So I was gone. Jen said that cues were picking up. So it's the SPY. We just hit all-time highs on the SPY, by the way, or right underneath it currently. Let me see. Looks like we hit about. Let's see what that price point was. 398.28 on the SPY, and I'm starting to wonder now if moving forward these are going to be like semi inter time frame all-time highs for like the IWM and QQQ. They're going to continue to correlate at the same price points, which would mean that the QQQ has since settled since its most recent outbreak, going into January, February. It's pretty much on steroids. That's what that means. So we shall see. Market open is about 17 minutes away. See the people stuck with us on YouTube Live. What I need to do is build another input. I didn't have time to do it this morning for when I do switch it over to music. I will do that now. I'll add a new source. What was that thing called that I was using? Output. I need iShow. Okay. Give me a second. Alright, there we go. iShow. Let's see if that's even. Yep. Okay, cool. So now I have it set up where the music will actually play through YouTube now moving forward, along with our Discord call. If you're not on our Discord community, feel free to join us there. I'm not sure who's on the YouTube live stream or the Facebook live stream, but you're more than welcome to join us on Discord. It's free to join the server. I will add a link there for you all to do so. Let's switch this up real quick. And what I want to look at is our overall score to see if we're still topped out at that 11 or if it's pushed higher. For the most part, it can't push any higher than this score shows. And we are now breaking back down below 398 on the SPY and sitting around 322.66 on the Q and 2208 on the IWM. So still looks like for the most part I'm going to be down about 750, which is fine. The DXY has pulled down a little bit. It's going into an oversold state on the 5 minute. I'm going to refresh those charts. There we go. I'll refresh this one as well. Now, something we can do different with this month's small account challenge, and I would like you guys' feedback. For the most part, everybody on the Discord call has been a part of the small account challenge, is we can start utilizing option calls and puts on actual stocks to start the option equity attack that I've spoken about all last month. But what we have to keep in mind is with stock options, you typically have to hold a little bit longer to see the type of gains that we're seeing from the market, which is fine because you have a lower risk on them as well, unless there's some catalyst that causes it to go the opposite direction of what we expect. For the most part, my theory has been, if I am doing puts on markets, I'm not doing calls on stocks. Of course, I'm doing puts on stocks as well. So we can learn how to utilize puts on stocks now with this month's challenge in order to capture up some of those free shares that I've been talking about for some time now that I look forward to snatching myself. Things being FCell, BLNK, RMO, I'm still bullish on. I don't care what the contrary to belief, is I'm still bullish on it. I still like CCIV and Lucid. Um, Tesla really is just weird. I'm not really interested in holding that, even if it's going 5x. I might buy a share eventually, but the options on it are just insane. So trying to do an option equity attack on it is almost like trying to do it on Bitcoin compared to an altcoin. So we can look through some of these, like CHPT, ChargePoint, BLNK. There's another company called EVgo, um, that hasn't IPO'd yet, but it's talking about it. I'm not sure if they did it through a merger or not. Let me check that, get an update. Or do they? The SPAC stock is currently traded under CLII. Okay, so that's the merger right here that we have. So BLNK, CLII, CHPT are ones that I like. BLNK and CLII are leading the industry in charging stations. RMO, FCell are two in the battery manufacturing sectors. And then CCIV with Lucid Motors and G-Tech are two that I like in the manufacturing space. I like CCIV for the fact that it's a competitor to Tesla, and they actually have nice cars. They look very well. They're more expensive, so they're going to start going after the larger consumer price ranges. 100 plus income type people. I think they're like $120,000 a vehicle on the first car, from what one of the members told me. And G-Tech is an industrial commercial manufacturer. They're actually licensing from a Chinese company, which is using them as a backdoor into the EV space into America. So I like those. And then we have, let me go back to the battery plays too. Plugs, a good one. FCell and RMO are the ones that I'm going after on my equity stake. So I'm not sure if you guys are up for it, doing that this month. If you want to let me know in the Discord call what you think about that. See what they're talking about in Facebook. I haven't really been in the Facebook chat, so excuse me. Just want green for you. I don't play for short term. Free float, not even. I'm just seeing what they're talking about in the Facebook chat. Who's still on the live stream? If you'll let me know. I'm sure Reg is still there. He's not in the Discord call yet, so I'm going to keep it open so he can keep up with us until he is able to. But there's somebody else there as well. If you can let me know. NXY actually, the DXY actually is tapping those levels near that 93.027 level. I want to see if it picks up here and it brings pressure down. SPY just went back above 398. It's currently at 398.05. IWM is at 222.04, and the Q is at 322.70. Now, the fact that we're holding puts right now, I am not confident in selling them and going after calls and then everything fall flat on its face on us. Let me see where my second account is. If I can even play with it at this point. No, I can't. So what it looks like I'm going to have to do in order to play along with the small account challenge myself is it looks like I'm going to have to sell one of my contracts for the amount of 300, whichever fits that, in order to participate in today's calls, and that way I can make better judgment calls. Looks like I have a 320 put on Q that I could probably get rid of for about that price range. Yeah, that's about where it ends. Or one of my 318s. I think I might do one of my 318s and keep the 320 for now. But I'm more interested to see where my account's going to be when I open up. It doesn't look like RMO. That's an option. So let me do all accounts. Yeah, I'm actually up $8 on my RMO long-term hold, so I expect my my calls on RMO to pick up as well. I'm really interested to see what amount of money is going to be allotted to RMO, because regardless of what people say, they are still the leading battery manufacturer for commercial vehicles, and that's why I'm playing them so strongly. We just got some numbers in for the jobless claims. It looks like initial jobless claims were at 719,000 versus 680,000 estimates. Not good. Prior was 684,000 last month. Our continuing claims are up to 3.794 million versus expectations of 3.775 million. Prior was 3.87 million, so it's came down. It's come down a little bit. Challenge job cuts were higher at 36,603 versus 34,531. And I'm looking for some more info. Connell says our nation could use a serious targeted infrastructure plan. There would be bipartisan support for a smart proposal. So I'm just reading the news. I want to see what those jobless claims have as far as an effect on the markets. If they're going to continue to bring that downward pressure, being higher than expected. But for the most part, we're riding the EMAs right now. So if market opens and we break those EMAs, then I expect this to come down like I've been alluding to since yesterday, which is why I bought puts yesterday. I thought we were hitting some levels that we were peaking out at. 320, I think, was one that I was watching on the Q. 220.62 is one I was watching on IWM, which is at 222 this morning. And then 398 is where the SPY, for the most part, peaked out yesterday. And it hasn't really bounced above that, the SPY specifically, this morning. It looks like the VIX has come down about 0.47% since this morning. Overall, since 6:30, we're down about 0.88. SPY's picked up about a total of 0.08 since 6:40 this morning, and the Q has picked up 0.19. Overall, though, the overall markets have pulled back about 1.44%. Is that right? Something's wrong with that number. I need to look at that, because we're sitting at 0.58% right now. It was at 0.96 at 6:43. So I'll see what's going on with that. Oh, overall score at the bottom there. That's something's wrong with that. I need to go look at it in the system, which is concerning because I've been using this very strongly. Copper has picked up. So since this morning, typically precious metals are used to hedge the markets when in times of downturn and expectations. There's something else I was talking about yesterday that I kind of talked to the group about too. There is only 1 million houses available for sale, which puts it around 22,000 houses per state, and prices are up 11% month over month. We had a very strong housing market throughout the pandemic due to interest rates lowering, and what has now caused a shortage in houses available. So for every state on average, based on those numbers, there's only about 22,000 homes available. So there could potentially be some issues in the real estate sector. And I was watching a guy that was talking about how that could affect the markets. Of course, he's like pure bearish and talking about there's going to be like a 70% retracement on the markets in the US. Like, that's extreme. I've never alluded to that. I've always stuck with the 10%. That I agree with the 10%. I'm not saying that I've said it was going to be initially, or making that claim that I called it out first, but I do agree with the 10% retracement in the markets because it'll bring us back down to that economic natural growth trend that I've been alluding to for the past few days, weeks, or whatever. And I would feel much comfortable playing in this market if we were where we were naturally supposed to be. And the fact that we aren't is why I've been somewhat more bearish about things than as far as my philosophy versus a bullish market and continuing to push higher. Which is why I had the notion that we were peaking out yesterday even, and it plays into that. Now, whether I'm right or wrong, only time will tell, and we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. So, um, we're about a few minutes open for market, about a minute and a half now. Time flies when you're having fun, right? DXY is bouncing off that support level that I've been paying attention to for the past few days. SPY is currently sitting at 398.08, and it looks like I'm having issues seeing my QQQ. Looks like 322.04, is that right? Or 323.04. So I might be down a little bit more. It just broke a resistance level. I expect that to happen. Of course, the Q has a lot more headroom, and the IWM does as well, than SPY would. But you guys already know my thesis of when the SPY hits all-time highs, it comes down. And the fact that we're hitting all-time highs pre-market, I want to see how that reacts into the day. Our overall score sitting at about 11 right now, which means it's kind of maxed out. We're doing the best we could be doing right now, which gives a lot of, I don't know what you would call it, not headspace, but I guess headspace to the downside is the word I would choose there. So let's see how we open, then I'll go from there. See, we got a full crew on the Discord call. Good morning, Reg, Krista, Justin, John, Jeff, Watchman, Muggs, Jen, of course. See what happens. Nice bounce on the SPY, 398.47. Overbought. Everything is, except for the IWM. And I personally, 320 plus QQQ still bullish. Understood. Agree. Wouldn't disagree with it. Oh, nice. That sucks. I'm actually down $1,200 right now. And that is due mainly because of my QQQs. Guess I didn't account for the delta properly in my calculations. I'm down $444 on my oh yeah, let me make sure I can hear you guys. Down $444 on my 318s and $320 on my 320s. Makes sense. DXY is pushing down below support. QQQ just broke below 320. Oddly enough, my RMO calls didn't move at all, even though RMO is up a little bit. I don't know if it's waiting to settle in on market open or not, but hasn't moved at all. That's discouraging. But I have those for 50 more days, so more than enough time to wait on those. down at $2,300. So essentially down about $700 overnight, which is about right. I was sitting at 3,000 yesterday at close. Of course, it came down a little bit on me. Let's see what we're doing. See, we still have a few people in the, I see Carl joined us this morning. Good morning, Carl. Make sure my audio is working right. Yeah, I gotta push to the YouTube stream. Alright, so, I see there's a few people left on the live stream. We're probably about to migrate over to the Discord call now that market's open, and start on our account challenge. I want to thank you for joining us this morning. If you want to join us on our Discord, I added a link in the chat. Feel free to join us over there, and we'll continue our discussion from there. Otherwise, thank you for joining us at Millennial Investments for our coffee and stock sessions we have every morning around 7:15. If you would, I only ask that you share and like the video to show your support. Otherwise, feel free to join us on the Discord. Have a good day. Good luck trading. I hope you make some money regardless of what I'm doing. But I'm not worried about it.